start by reviewing slope. So I'm going to do some of the basics, some of the stuff you might need, some that you will. So remember slope, we use M. Okay. So something like here, we would find the rise and the run. So usually what goes on top is the rise and run, up and down, and on the bottom is how far you go left or right. So something like this would be down, what, 3? Down 3, so it would be negative 3. And then it goes right 5, it looks like. So the slope is negative 3 fifths. 2 or 3. Right. And now review of which one of these is 0, which one is undefined.
So 0 is on the end.
Yeah. So sometimes that of all the slope stuff, that's usually something that's mixed up. So remember, if we found the rise and run here, this would be up 4. But the run would be 0. And when you have a 0 on the bottom, just think 0 on the bottom, no. Okay. So the answer is undefined. No slope, undefined. Whereas here, if you did the rise and the run, it would be a rise of 0 because it doesn't go up, right? Run of 1, and it's okay to have a 0 on top. That just means the answer is 0. So you want to remember which is undefined and which is 0. 0 on top is 0, 0 on the bottom, undefined. If you want to find equations of these, we can just say, well, for a vertical line, it's going to be x equals, because it goes through the x-axis only. Horizontal line goes to the y-axis. So it goes through at -1, so the equation is -1. It goes through at x equals -1, so the equation is x equals. So undefined slope is the only place where you have an x equals. Otherwise, it's always y equals. So it's undefined slope and x equals, everything is different about those.
So how to change to negative?
Negative will be going down, positive will go up.
Like, after both problem is really look like both one of them goes like one.
So just when a lot of times we don't want to graph everything just to find the slope, so instead we have a formula. So that's what we have here. So I'll write out the formula and just kind of give you a few pointers. The formula has subtraction in it. So if your numbers are negative, you end up subtracting a negative. So what is wrong with this right here? If I do 11 minus 8, and I do -4 minus 6. Why is this wrong? Why is this incorrect right here?
You make the
Give yourself a second. Why is that wrong? We could put parentheses. So if I want to put parentheses around everything. Yeah, so most common mistake is when one of these is negative, sometimes people try to make this the same negative as this, but that'll get you in trouble. So each of those is a negative. So there's a negative missing. So when you get two negatives, it turns into a positive, and that is a common mistake. So just be careful when you're subtracting negative numbers because it will become a positive. So we get 3 over, let's see here, -6 minus 4 is 2. Always reduce your fractions if they can be reduced. And you use this formula an awful lot. And the order doesn't matter. I could have done 8 minus 11 and -6 minus a -4. I would get the same answer. So it doesn't matter which one you call y1, y2, and so on. So if I ask you to find the slope of the same 2 points, but I put them in a different order, it's still the same exact line, so you will get the same exact answer. So the order is not important. You'll get the same slope regardless. Moving on. Let's see. Finding the slope of an equation. If you have the graph, so you just have to find two things, right? The y-intercept, in this case, which is 3, and then calculate your slope. So we go up 5, and right 2. So your slope would be up 5, right 2. And we use slope-intercept, so you're using that. So you plug everything into that. So take the b, goes right there. Right? Take your slope, that goes right there. We have final answer, y equals 5/2x plus. So when it says write a slope-intercept equation, make sure your final answer is an equation. Don't just get, oh, the b is this, the m is this, and move on. You have to write the equation. Okay? The first part of the last 6 problems is going to be doing the formula here. This formula you use a lot today. So take that formula, let's flip it over. I'm going to skip a few problems. And we're going to write the equations of these lines, but just know that the first step is finding the slope first. And then in a little while I'll come back and I'll tell you how to find the y-intercept. But the first thing you want to do is find the slope. 10/4, and always reduce if possible. And then I'll show you in a little bit how do you get the y-intercept. I'll remind you how to do the next part. So this is part 1. Do that for 16 to the end. Find the slope for each of these 5. And just write it like this, and then we'll come back in a little bit and I'll show you how to do that. If you remember how to do it, just go ahead. Okay. Let you work on that. When you're finished, I'm going to have you guys check your answers, and then once you check your answers, I'll give you the quiz. So we'll come back in just a second and help you on the back. Start at the top here. So the second part in February we looked at was finding the equations of the lines without using a graph. So you can always find a graph equation if you actually have the graph, like we did here. But what happens if there is no graph? You want the same thing. So you have to have 2 things. You need to have the slope, which is the m, and you have to have the y-intercept, which is the b, and then plug it into y equals mx plus b.
8 is 12 meters. Yeah. Yeah. That's okay.
Alright, so we'll just have the b goes in here, m goes in here. So we have y equals -3/2x and -2. So that's the easiest possible question if they give you both of these. But the next thing comes up, well, what if they don't give you both? What if they only give you one? Or what if they give you neither? Okay, that's what the rest of the page is all about. So here, you can see they do give you the slope. Right? Slope is 2, so you know it's going to be y equals 2x, but they do not tell you what is the y-intercept. Okay. So what you're going to do is plug in x and y into each of these. And we can work backwards to find out, well, what must b equal to? So these both happen to be equal to 2. Or you just have to solve this and we'll find out, well, what's the y-intercept? 2 equals 4. 4 minus 1 equals 2, basically. Okay, subtract 4 on both sides, and we get negative 2. So now, it's just like number 9 and 10. You have both the m that was already given to you, and you solve for the one that was not complete. So we have our equation, y equals 2x minus 3. So your answer is this equation. So the answer for all these, when I'm checking these, should be equations, and on your quizzes, you'll have lots of equations as well. I think the first question is just slope, but everything else, your answer will be an equation. Alright, so that's how you go through each one of these. It's a little different when you have undefined. So remember, undefined, like I showed you on the front, it's x equals. And defined slopes start with x equals. But there is no y-intercept. It does not cross the y-axis at all, so you can't use the same thing. So when you have an undefined slope, that's actually a little bit easier and faster. Just think x equals, and this particular problem, the x is 3, right? Or negative 3. And that's all you have to do. So it's a lot easier when you're doing just vertical lines without diagonal or anything. Just x equals. Okay. Alright, so that will get you through the rest of the back. You can use either point. So here you can use the 4 and the 5 for x and y, or the 0 and negative 5, either way. Alright, so you want to use the 5 for y, and use 4 for x. You have 5 and 4. Remember, when you're multiplying fractions here, it means you multiply the top, but you divide the bottom in either order. So you can do 5 times 4 and get 20. Divided by 2 is 10. Right? Or you can do 4 divided by 2, which is 2, and 2 times 5 is 10. So either way, you get the same thing. Remember, multiply by the top, divide by the bottom. So here we'll get a y-intercept of negative 5. Remember, don't just stop there. You still need to write your answer. So I'll leave you there. Here's the slope. Here's the y-intercept. Make sure you write the answer as well. Okay. I'll leave this up here so you can get it all down and use it as an example. So you have, let's see, about half hour. So you want to finish the rest of this in about 20 minutes. And then take the quiz. So show me when you're finished.